What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Pilots Club, a podcast all about the first episodes of television shows and the many reasons why they may or may not be worth a watch. Every month, we pick a different pilot episode to watch and then discuss it here on our show. We release these episodes first and foremost to our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/the Whatnauts on our $3 tier and above. And then 2 years later, we release these episodes to a wider audience on a public feed. So if you want to catch up on 2 years worth of episodes, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is the place to do that. When we first made the Pilots Club, it was a little rough around the edges, so we wanted to polish it up a bit and repackage it, so to speak, with this new intro. And eventually you will stop hearing me doing this pre-recorded intro, and I will just start saying it as we record each episode. But until then and beyond, please enjoy the show and what it grows into. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. We got a brand new Pilots Club right here, right now. You guys know us. I'm Kyle. That's Melissa.
Yes.
Let's do the damn thing. It's spooky month. It's October here in 2022. And Melissa, it was your turn to pitch the pilot this time to take the controls and steer the plane. And you picked kind of a spooky adjacent thing for Halloween here.
There's a full werewolf in it, so I don't know if we're adjacent. I think we're entirely in it. We watched Mockingbird Lane. I believe it's called Mockingbird Lane, but the logo on the title screen says 1313 Mockingbird Lane, so I don't even know the correct title. This was a TV pilot for a show that never went to full series, but it aired once as a special. It is a reboot of the Munsters. I picked it because it was co-created by Bryan Fuller, who we've watched some of his work in the past on the review show, season 1 of American Gods, Pushing Daisies, Hannibal. He's got a real distinct style, and I wanted to see what he could do with some monsters.
Yeah. That's also one thing that happens with pilots that I don't know we've necessarily encountered, where there is discrepancies between here's the logo that we made, but then what we actually ended up calling it was not what was on the logo. Stuff changes is right. My point there, right? Like it's more or so a proof of concept.
If they would have called it 1313 Mockingbird Lane, then it would have shown up first in every alphabetized list. Like if you go to Hulu and just click A to Z, it's right there in front of you. Might have paid off for him in the end. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mockingbird Lane. This was an interesting one. I did not dislike it. I think I see why it didn't get picked up to series. But I like the idea. He was he's on to something. I don't think he hit it. That, like you said, this is a reboot of the Munsters. And man, the Munsters is, I feel like, still such a beloved show.
It just had a reboot movie. No, people like Munsters. Like the Rob Zombie movie just came out on Netflix. I haven't watched it. I had it described to me. Sounds okay. I'm happy Munsters just keep happening every once in a while.
Yeah. And I have really good childhood memories of like Halloween-ish time, right? And there's some like monster movie marathon on TMC or something like that. And Munsters would also be one of the things that they would be showing around the clock. And it'd be like Twilight Zone on one channel, Munsters and something else on another channel, monster movie marathon over there. Good times. And the Munsters was always just so charming. And it was both spooky and funny. Like you said, there's a werewolf You get a Frankenstein's monster adjacent thing, right? There's all sorts of good spooky stuff that's in that mix, and it's just
Yeah.
The Munsters was a fantastic show. So the idea of a reboot is like, yes, tell me more.
Yeah.
I'm into this.
Yeah, especially since horror tropes will evolve so much. There's like mainstays. Like we've never gotten rid of Dracula,
Right.
but new stuff's coming up all the time. If this would have kept going, we would have seen their take on a Saw or a Blair Witch Project or something.
Slender Man. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. What? He's their new cousin.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, but so where I feel like this one ended up missing the mark is I think in the way it especially Herman. I feel like Herman was just like, okay, you have stitches along your neck, but that's kind of it. Like you don't seem enough. You don't seem monstrous enough. And then we do get this scene where he has the like the zip up thing for his heart, but he didn't seem like a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. He just seemed like a guy named Herman.
Right, a man who was just brought back to life, like a man who's been injured. Yeah, there might have been a couple more things they could have added to really push that Frankenstein energy. I think I knew who was in the show, but I didn't know that the monstrousness was toned down a little bit. That being said, if you live in this normal suburban town, okay, it's one thing that there's a Frankenstein walking around. A Frankenstein, wacky, spooky. But to see just Jerry O'Connell with a gnarly scar across his neck, like, that's eerie on a different level. I kind of like that, even if it isn't the cartoon Frankenstein I wish I had sometimes.
And you're not wrong, but they don't play that as like oh God, what is up with him? What's it like? No one be like, oh, well, there is one thing I think they call attention to is his neck, but it's real brief. No one is like traumatized by it or like trying to be like sympathetic or something like that. To be like, oh my goodness, what happened? Do you need help? Like, because
I love asking, do you need help for somebody who has a long-aged scar?
But that's the thing. Like, you don't know.
It's not a fresh injury.
Is it a scar? Is it a bruise? Like, that'd be something like I don't know, and I wouldn't necessarily ask about, but maybe would go to someone and be like, what do I do here in this situation? But like, because the monstrousness was toned down visually, at least when they're like out and about, I think it lost a lot of its charm. Because part of the Munsters for me is that like visual gag of they are very obviously monsters, but then no one really notices. Like, that's part of the joke of what the Munsters is and why it was so charming. And so to kind of take that away and like they still have their eccentricities and stuff like that. I cannot say that word right. Eccentricities. Is that right?
Eccentricities.
Oh, you getting all educated on me. Okay. But like they still have that, but I felt like that visual joke was just not there. And so it's just like, okay, these are just weird neighbors. Not
right, these are just these are just injured people. I listened to Podcast The Ride do an episode about the Rob Zombie Munsters movie, and they were talking about how the joke with the Munsters is that they think they are the standard American family.
Yes.
And in this episode, we got a sense that they are very self-conscious. Like Eddie's about like 10 years old. He's turning into a werewolf at this age, and they're not telling him. They're like, oh, when you went on that camping trip with your Boy Scout troop, a baby bear got all those kids and like threw you into the bushes and ripped your clothes off. And that's why you woke up naked and with a memory loss and all of your friends were injured. It was a baby bear, Eddie. Nothing's wrong with you. And there's a worry there that I understand has to be instilled to make this an hour-long dramedy instead of a half-hour sitcom.
Right.
But there's a charm to that obliviousness where Herman thinks somebody runs away from him, not because he's a Frankenstein, but because he said something impolite, and he spends the whole episode like making it up to that person.
Yeah. Like that is the charm. Like I want to see that in a modern way, like still make them look like a Frankenstein or a witch or a Dracula or a Dracula's wife or whoever, right?
Bride of Dracula.
Yeah. Bride of Frankenberry or what have you.
I've never heard anybody call her Frankenstein's wife, the lady with the tall hair.
But like I get that they are also going for something different, and there would have been different kinds of spooks or different kinds of comedy in that. And so that's why I don't think it was necessarily bad. It was like, okay, you're on to something here. It might need a little bit more work, but I think you have it here. Like it just almost.
Yeah.
Because
I want to
think you just real fast. I think you mentioning that they were going for that like full hour or 40 minutes ish.
Yeah.
Like dramedy really does change the game. It's not the same kinds of jokes and stuff like that. So please continue.
I do want to say I like the casting across the board. I think everyone is well cast. Eddie Izzard as Grandpa Munster is very different energy from the original guy, but also really good energy. He's well utilized. And I think Cousin Marilyn is locked in. She might be the most successful individual part of this pilot. I love her. She's got the same sort of prim, beautiful, like girl next door energy of the original Marilyn, but with just enough of this like severity to her. Like she has grown up being the one normal human in this family of monsters. And here you've got the angle where Grandpa has always kind of resented her for that. Like does not like to have this normal human granddaughter. And there's a little bit of bitterness in her because of that. And she's always been sort of like the spokesperson for her family. Like she's the one who goes and buys them the house. And then the rest of the family comes and moves in. She's been used to handling business. There's sort of a steeliness to this Marilyn combined with that girl next door charm that I really liked.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. She is very... Like you see it in the scene where she buys the house, that she knows what she wants, what she needs to do. She's very stern in that sense, which I think is really neat because it adds this layer of complexity to the character. It's like, oh, is she plotting something? Like, could she? She absolutely could. Like that's the kind of character that she is. But I also read her as the more like obviously very much inspired by the like Marilyn Monroe, like early Hollywood in the 50s, like bombshell hot actress. But is also at this, like, she is this also like strange mix of that with like, she is the scream queen. She is the woman in Psycho. Right? Like she's all of that combined bind into one, which is just such a fascinating character to put amongst these Munsters. That's hard to see. Hard to say.
Another thing I like about her is that she's college aged, which is an age you don't see a lot of, is the college age kid still living at home. In this case, living with extended family. It's a really unique dynamic that she has. And I like that we're out of we've got Eddie for kids, and then we've sort of skipped past teen altogether to like 21-year-old Marilyn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting look too, because she's either going to be wanting to go out all the time or bringing people in, bringing guys over or having a party or something like that.
Yeah, like she's old enough that she's got more of an agency or more of an argument for, no, I'm going out tonight, or I am bringing somebody over, or I am going to this party. I'm going to have a couple drinks and stay the night at my friend's house. She's like, I'm 21 years old.
Yeah.
None of you are my parents. I run this house. Right. I'm the one who handles all your affairs.
I'm taking the car. That means, Herman, you have to take the bus, right? And then he's just sitting there like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, all of that stuff I think is fantastic. I really did like the pilot kind of addressing their kid slowly starting to turn into a werewolf. I think that really got to the heart of the situation and the family, that they are trying to figure things out still. And like that, I think to see them change and grow, and who knows, maybe Herman would have become more physically like Frankenstein's monster as the show progressed, as they kept replacing stuff, right? That could have been an interesting idea. But then to see him, or to see the whole family grow more confident, right, in who they are. No, we are the American Jareem. We are all that stuff. But then still just visually be like, oh my God, like it's a werewolf and a monster and a vampire. And
yeah, that is another angle of this pilot I did like, that Herman is aware of his origin. Like he's having problems with his heart. And of course, Grandpa, a mad scientist, is like, well, let's put in a mechanical heart, or we'll kill somebody and put their heart in. And Herman's like, no, the heart is my only original part left. And like, we don't know if it's his own original organ, or like if he one day like didn't look like Jerry O'Connell. We don't know all of his origin, but the fact that he's so conscious of his Frankensteining and wants to hold on to that, and that's one of his struggles, is letting go of his physical heart and letting go of his metaphorical heart, and letting his little boy grow up and not be protected and knowing the truth.
Yeah. I like that too. One thing that I was not expecting, which, because I was thinking of the old school Munsters and stuff like that, I was not expecting to be a scene with Herman and his wife in bed together.
Oh yeah, I liked that.
I also liked them, like he's on the bed and she's on the ceiling,
right? Which is like, I wish she did a few more vampiric things. She like comes out of a coffin and does like summon a bunch of spiders to spin her a silk web dress. That is pretty cool. And when they do bone, she does float up to the ceiling, which is rad. We all aspire to it. I really like Portia de Rossi. I feel like this Lily, it didn't quite coalesce for me. Like, she's a little too glamorous to either be sort of the every mom, or to be like, you think of a Morticia Addams, who's got the glamorous black dress, but it's variations on the same black dress like throughout every time you see her. Lily had like too many glamorous costume changes that weren't vampy enough. I loved every individual outfit. I just don't know if they served the character as well as I would have liked.
Yeah, I think they were probably trying to go for the like Hollywood starlet, right? And you just have
Maybe,
all
yeah.
sorts of fancy clothes and stuff like that. Now that I have seen this, I can almost still imagine this as a show today. Like we now have shows like What We Do in the Shadows, and stuff like that, which basically follows a family of vampires. And I'm not sure if they're not all family, but still just a bunch of vampires. But even that kind of comedy, the way it's filmed, like I could see that with the Munsters, like almost that Office style sitcom. They don't necessarily need to do the interviews and stuff like that, but that thing where like a film crew is in there with them and they sometimes like acknowledge that, like I think that'd be really interesting.
You know what it needs to look like is the Bigfoot footage. It's like one of those mockumentary style sitcoms, but shot entirely like it is a ghost video or a cryptid video.
Yes. Yeah. Stuff like that I think would be really funny. And so yeah, like it stinks that they never got to make this to a full show. I think the Munsters, especially with the resurgence of the Addams family stuff that's been happening now too, I think we are primed for a return to the Munsters.
Yeah, especially like I think this show came between Pushing Daisies and Hannibal. I think this was like 2012, 2013. I hope I have that right. I think this is pre-Hannibal. And the fact that Bryan Fuller went on to do that, Hannibal is such a feat. I am still working my way through the show very slowly because it's a lot to take in. But boy, it is a absolutely unique thing in television. And I think his next project is an adaptation of Stephen King's Christine. So he's still kind of playing in the horror space. I would love for this, a project starring a Frankenstein, to get a second life sometime.
Interesting. Yeah. That seems good to me. So I don't know if I have much more to say on Mockingbird Lane here, but since I get to do the next one, mine is for November. However, I still kind of wanted to go with the spooky route too, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, you know what? Why not? And then I was looking at the news and I was hearing some things. And you know what? Scooby-Doo has been in the news a lot. We got a brand new show. There's also a Velma related show on HBO Max, which is a more adult show. Also, the most recent, like, actual Scooby-Doo cartoon, Velma is canonically a lesbian in that one, too. So, hey, they're all sorts of news for Scooby-Doo. But as I forget what I was searching for a couple weeks ago. It was, long story short, I started working on one of our like 5 recommendation videos.
Oh yeah, cool.
And I was starting with the horror one, and we had Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated on there. But as I was searching on YouTube, I found that there is a show that a bunch of indie filmmakers put together called Mystery Incorporated. This is available on YouTube. About 5 months ago, they put the pilot of their show up on YouTube for everyone to watch. I think they were crowdfunding it on Indiegogo or what have you. So I don't know if any of these characters are like named exactly the same. I think they have to be like legally distinct from right.
We've got Frank and Dorfney.
Right, yeah.
We all love Shuggy. We all love Victoria.
Shuggy. Yes, so Mystery Incorporated, the pilot is called Welcome to Coolsville. And then in brackets it has Scooby-Doo. But yeah, I thought, you know what? Why not try out this live action adaptation of a show that is an independent show, is not like some big major television thing. They probably only put this out on the internet or to their backers or who knows what. It is an hour long, and like I said, it is available on YouTube. So that is what I think we should do next month.
Very unique.
Scooby-Doo live action. Good stuff. Well, yeah, I think that's all I got for this one.
That's it.
That's the end. Once again, thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. It means a lot. We hope you guys enjoy these pilot clubs. These pilots club. We hope you enjoy the Pilots Club as much as we do, because it's been a lot of fun making it. And yeah, I guess that is about it. So we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.